Well, feel the funk blast! Feel the funk blast! Feel the funk blast! Yo, check it out, yo. I'll be walking cold like a dog, my evident, fearless. War returns to world like power home from Paris. Like steel from the furnace, I was born landless.
Go for it.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the OzPower podcast. My name's James, or Camo, and I'm here with Pat. And today we have a very special guest down from Sydney, Lyndall. Oh, hey Lyndall.
Hi.
How's things?
Good, very good.
Thanks for coming down.
No worries.
For your birthday.
I was just about to say, is there a reason why you're down? You want to explain?
I was just down for the weekend. I thought I'd have a little bit of time out from Sydney. If I'm in Sydney and having days off, I always end up working. So
Cool.
turning 29, I thought I'd get away.
Yeah, fair enough. Good excuse.
What's a good place to spend a birthday, I suppose?
It is.
Well, you know what? I've probably been here maybe 15 times and it's always for business or competition. I never really had a chance to explore, so I thought it was time.
Awesome.
Cool. So do you want to just start off by giving us a little introduction to yourself in terms of lifting? So like, how long have you been doing it? How did you get into it? That sort of thing?
Yep. So I've been training in the gym for probably 7 or 8 years. I have quite an extensive sporting background, so coming into the gym was pretty normal. Probably like a lot of girls, I started training because I wanted to, look better and feel better about myself.
Yep.
But, I definitely went about it the wrong way. Took my calories way too low, over exercising, to the point where it was pretty dangerous to my health.
Yep.
I started powerlifting probably maybe 4 years ago. And to be honest, it's probably been the best decision I've made in terms of my health and in terms of my fitness and my overall outlook on, training in my body and food and all of that sort of stuff.
Is that mainly just because of a shift in focus, like looking more at a performance aspect?
Exactly right. So for me, coming from a bit of a disordered eating and exercising background, focusing solely on performance is a much better way for me to look at training and to look at food.
Yeah.
So
better way for everyone to look at it, probably.
Definitely. That's definitely something that myself and my business partner Renee try to teach our girls and all of our female clients.
Yeah, cool.
Just before we go on to the business stuff, you mentioned an extensive sporting background. What sort of sports were you playing?
So I was playing netball from a very young age. I can't even remember, probably 5 or 6. So I played club, I played school netball, went into rep netball. I was probably training maybe 3 or 4 days a week. Club game on Saturday, school game on Thursday. Sometimes we would have a rep carnival on Sunday, which could be 8, 9 or 10 games. So I did that for about 10 or 11 years. Did a bit of dancing, so a bit of ballet and jazz, and I know you can't imagine me doing that now. I'm probably not very graceful at all, but I used to be a dancer. Bit of basketball.
Cool.
But,
Pretty broad. So did you ever, with those sports, did you ever do weight training, like as a cross-training thing for those sports?
With the rep netball, we train twice a week. And one of the training sessions was with a PT. So it varied each week on what we do. Sometimes we do kind of a bit of a weight circuit. Other times we trained actually right next to a pool as well. So we do acro aerobics and all of that sort of stuff in the pool if it was more kind of for recovery. But that was probably my first sort of taste of kind of weight training.
Yeah.
But then when I stopped netball, I stopped because I started working full time and I just didn't have the time. There was probably a period of maybe 3 or 4 years where I just wasn't doing anything. And my body really suffered because of it. Not only in the way that it appeared, but also in kind of my health and in my weight and all of that sort of stuff as well. So when I started to get back into training, it was very difficult, but also kind of natural in a way as well.
Yeah, cool. So why powerlifting? Like if your original start in it was more image-based, why not like figure competing or like a bodybuilding style? Why specifically powerlifting? I think I fell into it kind of by accident. I was working at a gym in a Sydney
that was kind of more of a bodybuilding sort of gym. And so I was really focused on, competing, and I was training to do a figure competition, mostly just because everybody around me that was doing that, you know. So I was training for that. And then I actually did a session with Luke Shakespeare, who's now my coach. So that was probably 5 years ago, actually, that I met him. And we just did a bit of a fun session. And I'd always had a really strong deadlift. I think it was about 130, 132 at the time. And we did this training session together, and he just tweaked my technique, and I ended up pulling 150 in that session.
Awesome.
So, yeah, just like a small change in technique, and I just put 18 kilos on my deadlift. And we ended up filming it, and I put it online, and one of the coaches that I worked with messaged me, and he goes, "Man, I just saw your deadlift. You're really strong. We're doing this comp in Melbourne in like 12 weeks. You should come with us." And it was the Capo National Deadlift. And I thought, yeah, why not? Like, it's a bit of fun, train for it. So, yeah, I trained for that over the next 12 weeks, and Luke coached me. And we came down, and I ended up pulling 160, and I won.
Nice.
So that was kind of the start. And,
so when was that? What year was the comp?
I think it was 2014, maybe? 13 or 14,
Okay,
cool.
So a few years ago.
So obviously that was your first comp, so you've been competing since then, so roughly 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. So the next comp after that was went down to Canberra and did GPC States. And I didn't really have a lot of prep time for that. I kind of decided maybe 6 weeks out that I would do it. And that was just because I had a friend that was going down and doing it. And I didn't actually even know that knee wraps were a thing until maybe 3 weeks out. So I think I had like two sessions in wraps, and then I just winged it. And I didn't do very well, but it got me qualified for nationals, which is what I wanted anyway. So went on to do my first GPC nationals that year. And it was huge. I didn't know anybody. I think my friend Tommy wrapped me, but he was the only person I knew. Emad came up and introduced himself. I had no idea who Emad was. I think Tommy pointed out Marcos. Had no idea who Marcos was. It was just, it's really overwhelming, the amount of amazing lifters there. And I ended up placing second to Annie. Annie was very strong. So it was a fantastic day. I had a great time. And then I think it was that year I went on to do Capo Nationals as well. I think I went on to do Capo Nationals that year. I think I won that one as well. Probably did 5 or 6 comps in the first 2 years, which is definitely too many. But, Worlds, I think Worlds was 2015, 2014 maybe? No, 2014 I think it was. So I couldn't not do Worlds. And then did the deadlift only because I wanted the world record. Competed pretty extensively up until in the last year. I had a bit of a break after Parole last year so that we could build squad gym. Needed to focus on that. I was just working a ridiculous amount of hours, probably 100 hours a week, just trying to get it off the ground and just ensure that the quality was there and the service. So had no time to sleep or eat or train or anything. So Pro Roll this year was pretty much my first comp back into it.
So we definitely want to talk about squad gym, but we'll just quickly go over your personal stuff first, if that's cool. So is the deadlift your favourite lift?
Yes.
Is that mainly because you were naturally good at it, or it's just something that you enjoy, or like why is that your favourite?
It's definitely my strongest lift. I was always a conventional puller up until late 2015. I ended up pulling, I think my biggest conventional deadlift was 212 under 75. But the comp that I pulled that at was the capo deadlift, and I actually injured my glute. It wasn't during the big lift, it was actually during the warm-up. But me being me, I just, did it anyway. Regretted it the next day. But after that, I don't even know, to this day, I don't even know what I did. It wasn't a tear. I think it was some sort of sciatic pinching. But I couldn't squat or a deadlift or, barely walk for the next kind of month. So I took probably 4 to 6 weeks off squatting and deadlifting completely, and I still had a lot of pain even when I came back to it. So I moved to sumo, and I didn't get any pain when I did sumo. So I just went with that because that was in December, and I got an invite to Parole in the March, and I said to my chiro, I was like, I have to do it, I have to do it. And he knew I wouldn't take no for an answer. So I trained sumo, and I ended up pulling 210 sumo like 3 months later. So
So at Pro Raw this year, you competed in the 3 lift on the Friday.
Yes.
How'd you go?
Terribly. No, I came fourth, but it was definitely not my best effort. Even Marco said on the day, he said, you're stronger than your total. I had the best prep. I hit all of my numbers, and I was on my way to a 535 total. So I don't know if it was a combination of the weight cut or the nerves or just a different atmosphere that, I just didn't have a good comp. So I didn't go backwards, but, I definitely was nowhere near where I should have been.
So how much weight did you have to cut?
I had to cut probably 4 or 5 kilos, which is the most I've ever had to cut. Usually I'm kind of only 2 or 3 kilos above. But yeah, when you're working a lot of hours, sometimes, you end up putting yourself last. So, but, every comp that I do, I learn something. So that I know when I go into the next comp, me and Luke, we always kind of have a bit of a chat afterwards, what our plans are for the next comp and what we've got to work on. And, body composition is something that I definitely need to take into account a little bit more. So
how far out did you cut the 5 kilos?
Not far, probably 3-4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you did the 3 lift on the Friday, and you came back on the Sunday and did the deadlift only.
Yeah, that was a very spur of the moment kind of decision. I competed on the Friday, went out and got drunk on the Friday night. Woke up on the Saturday, felt fine. Went and did some cardio actually. Went to the Arnold's, and I just thought, why not?
Cool.
Like I wasn't happy, and I felt fine. So messaged Luke because I always got to get the all clear from the coach, otherwise I get in trouble. He said it was fine. Messaged Marcos, asked him if he had any spots left, and he did.
You ended up winning.
I ended up winning. I pulled 220 kilos, which was my goal for the Friday anyway. So
what did you pull on the Friday? Sorry?
215. So that was a 5 kilo PB, 5 kilo sumo PB. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
Can I quickly ask about that? Because that's sort of out of the norm, I suppose. Everyone's kind of so touchy around, how far we space out our comps and what have you. Something in you must have just gone, no, I'm not wearing this on the Friday.
Yeah.
I've got to do this.
Yeah. I have done it before. Okay. I did it at Worlds actually, and that was planned. So I competed on the Friday, or cut weight to weigh in on the Thursday, competed on the Friday, cut weight again to weigh in on the Saturday, and then did the deadlift only on Friday and won both. So.
Yeah.
So what is it? Because mentally that's pretty daunting. And for most people it'd be daunting, but there's obviously something in you that goes, no, I'm not willing to accept that. I've got to go.
For me, it's never about winning or a trophy or money or anything like that. For me, it's, coming away satisfied with my performance, and I definitely wasn't satisfied with my performance on the Friday, so that's why I decided to go back. So I felt good, and I just, I think I just needed to eat and be hydrated and, not worry about my weight and all of that, and just go out and lift to lift.
Did you go out on the Sunday relaxed, or were you tense because of the Friday? Or was it just like, well, Friday's done, let's go? Yeah,
I felt fine. Like, I don't think I'm ever really calm when I'm lifting. Like, if you see me, like, I'm a bit crazy on the platform, but that's what I have to do to psych myself up. So, nothing on the Friday during the warm up felt good. Nothing. Like everything felt wrong. On the Sunday, everything felt right. Like I knew I had it. Like,
what was your weight on the Sunday?
It was 78.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was just over 3 kilos every year.
Do you think that played a part in why everything felt better?
Probably, yeah. I was pretty dehydrated when I weighed in on the Friday. I haven't had to cut that much weight before, so I just didn't know. And this is the first year that I've prepped having a gym as well. So I wasn't sure how much the stress would affect me and, the long hours and all of that sort of stuff. So again, it's something I have to take into consideration on the next prep.
Yeah, cool. So just one last thing before we go to the gym. So you worked as a hairdresser?
Yes.
So are you still doing that? Like, I know if people go on your Instagram, you were actually not that long ago, and you're obviously known for the red hair.
Yeah.
So is that something you still do?
Yeah, so I've been a hairdresser for 13 years.
Yeah.
I do still see my regular clients on a Saturday.
Yeah.
If I'm not, gallivanting through Melbourne or competing or, If I'm in Sydney, I do see my regulars on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't really take on new clients anymore. I've been working at the same salon for the whole time, so they're kind of like my second family. So they're quite flexible with me when I want to go and do my own thing, and they just understand what I'm like and know that they kind of have to let me go and do my own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to kind of keep that there,
Yeah.
it's fun, and my clients I've been doing some of them for like 10 years. So, it's just kind of like a catch up with friends when I do their hair. It's not really even work. So
are you a hairdresser or are you a colour tech? Like you did I don't know what the show was, not that long ago.
I do both.
Obviously, I'm not that into hair.
we can work on that. I do both. I do educate for a company called Sebastian Professional. So with those guys, they are mostly cutting and styling. So I do a lot of that, but I do colour in the salon as well.
Cool. Awesome.
Crazy work ethic.
Yeah. That's a lot of hours.
I can't just do one thing.
So Squad Gym, where's it located? How long's it been going for?
So we just turned one a couple of weeks ago. We're in Stanmore in Sydney, so that's slightly in the west of Sydney. So we're probably like 10 minutes drive from the city.
Yep, cool. And you and Renee?
Yes, me and Renee.
So are you guys the only ones that sort of coach from there, or do you have other personal trainers working from there?
We're the directors, so we do have our own clientele. We have two other coaches as well, so Dirk and Benji. We just took on a group fitness trainer, Shane, so that's been a massive help because both me and Renee were taking all of the classes, so we were doing 12 classes a week, which is a lot. So being able to offload those to Shane, who specializes in that sort of thing, has been a massive asset. I still write the program, so we're able to ensure the quality, and based on the feedback of the clients, I write the program. So but that's been a massive help. We're able to now focus more on our clientele and the running of the gym, and obviously pushing it forward and growing it as well.
Yep, cool. Excuse me. So Luke coaches you, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you coach Renee, or does Renee have someone else that coaches her?
Renee's not very good at having a coach. No, the thing I really admire about Renee is that she can just train to be strong. She can just train to train, and she's always progressing. For me, I really need to have light at the end of the tunnel, and for me, that's why powerlifting or a competition is really something that's good for me to aim towards, because I tend to lose focus. And I think that last year that's kind of was really hard for me, having a year off. It seemed like a great idea at the time, but when you don't really have that light at the end of the tunnel, it's really hard to kind of make sure that you're getting every session in, and make sure that you're doing all your accessories and hitting all your numbers, because well, do I really need to? There's not really a competition coming up, that sort of thing. But I really admire her to just train to train. That's always something she's been good at.
Yeah, cool. And what's the main demographic for your gym? Like, are you specifically looking to coach women, or are you taking on anyone? Like, what's the goal there?
We'd probably consider ourselves more of a commercial facility. We do have all the equipment for weightlifters and powerlifters, but we try and cater for everyone, people that have never really been into the gym before, right up until kind of your elite athletes. The whole purpose of Squad is to make it feel really inviting and not very intimidating. I think having a female touch in terms of the design of the gym and the decorating of the gym, you can really see it when you come in. When we opened, we probably had 50% female clients, and that's just because both me and Renee pretty much coach almost 100% females. So we just brought our clients with us. Now we're kind of creeping up on the guys. More guys are coming through. So I know the male coaches coach predominantly male clients.
So that was going to be my question. Is that because of the other coaches, or have you got males seeking you and Renee out as well?
I don't really have any guys seeking me out. I think I train. I think I have 2 male clients. I think Renee's probably about the same as well. I had more when I was at Newtown Fitness first, but not so much at Squad. I more so have females seeking me out through Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And they're kind of my niche. They're the people that I market to, you know, when I write my blogs and all of that sort of stuff. So
yeah, cool.
Just on social media for a sec, because you are pretty active on social media and you do a lot of promoting. So what have you got? I mean, obviously your Instagram accounts. How can people get in contact with you? Is that your preferred method?
Yeah, so I got my Instagram account, Lyndall_co. I got my Facebook, so my personal one, and also Boss Babes and Barbells. So Boss Babes and Barbells is my online business. I've had that for about 5 years. So you can go to bossbabesandbarbells.com and check out that. So, you know, I got a blog on there and stuff like that. But yeah, most of my stuff comes through Instagram and Facebook. Trying to get the YouTube thing going, but editing time is really it's really hard to find time to edit these things. So as you know.
Yeah.
So
cool. So what's the future with the gym? Like, are you going to potentially open new locations? What do you want to see happen there?
At the moment, we just really want to focus on growing squad. We probably want to try and double our membership base in the next year. So that's our focus, and obviously bringing on more staff as well, so that we don't have to be there, 24/7, so to say. So that's kind of our goal at the moment. We have just got cardio equipment in, which a lot of people are like, really, why? But, you know, for us, it's about making sure that everyone's happy as well. So we have had feedback and even people come into the gym asking for it as well. So we do want to, you know, obviously make it inviting for everybody. And some people, you know, they get intimidated by strength equipment. And, you know, when you walk into our gym, the deadlifting platforms are right there and the squat racks are right there. And, you know, sometimes people need a little bit of a, it takes a little bit of time for them to come through into that. Yeah. So, more locations possibly. Maybe franchising. Franchising might be an easier option. Building the gym is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So if I don't have to do that again, I won't.
Fair enough. Do you have clients that compete?
I do. They make up probably a small portion of my clientele. I probably have 6 or 7 girls that compete. So I've got one girl doing a novice comp next weekend, a couple of girls doing a novice comp in August, and I think I've got another one doing the Sydney Cup later on in the year as well. So yeah, it's definitely a portion of my business that I want to grow. But at the same time, you know, like I do have a lot of women that just are happy to train for strength or train for fat loss and stuff like that, and I love training them, you know, just as equally. So
are your lifters GPC lifters? Are they capo lifters? You don't really care?
I don't really care, you know. Like for me, if a client wants to compete at a certain time, then I'll give them the options of, okay, these comps are happening at this time, like regardless of federation. You know, I've never been a person to go, okay, well, I'm only going to compete with this federation, like you know, I've always been a capo GPC girl, and I'll happily go between. Just really depends on what time of year I want to compete and what's available to me.
Cool. What's your next competition yourself? What's coming up?
My next competition will be Melbourne Cup in September. So I think we're about 4 months out from that. I was really aiming to kind of max out there, but then I got a Parole Battle invite. And you know, I had a chat to Luke about it, and he recommended that I kind of maybe just work up to what I'll open on at Parole Battles at Melbourne Cup. So, you know, still fairly heavy, but not to the point where I'm going to really, you know, fry my central nervous system before Parole Battles.
So for those that don't know about the Parole Battles, this is part of the Big Dogs 2 weekend.
That's correct.
In October. So do you want to explain what they've thrown at you?
So I believe they've chosen 12 competitors to basically, you know, have a one-on-one battle together. So I'm up against Jo. So she beat me by 2.5 kilos at Pro Raw. And she's a very strong lifter. She probably weighs maybe 6 kilos less than me. So she's a little bit lighter, but she's very, very strong. I remember her actually from my first GPC Nationals. I think she was in the 67.5 kilo class, and I was just, you know, floored by how strong she was for how little she was, you know. But she's so lovely. She's so lovely. It's like, I don't eat, like, for me, and I know she'll agree with this as well, like, it's not really even a competition, you know, because we're just really good friends, you know, we chat all the time. And I know both of us just want to go out there and put on a good show, like, you know, money aside and winning aside, like, It doesn't even matter in the scheme of things because I think we just want
head-to-head, straight head-to-head battle.
Straight head-to-head, no scales, just biggest total wins.
Yeah. So at Pro Raw, Joe beat you by 2.5 kilos.
Yeah.
Yep. But obviously you had to cut weight.
Yeah.
How do you reckon you're going to go this time around?
This time around, I fingers crossed will go anywhere between 535 and 550. That's the goal. So, cool. But you know what? Anything can happen on the day. Yeah. So.
And what are you thinking in terms of body weight? Because obviously you don't have to weigh in for the comp. So if there's no weight cuts, you're going to sit sort of 78-ish. Like, is that your normal?
Yeah, kind of at the moment. I'm sitting around 80.
Yeah.
Probably after this weekend, sitting around 80. But yeah, I do need to diet. Luke has just written my new program and has included macros in it. So I am cycling macros, which I haven't done for a very long time. Not since, kind of back in the bodybuilding days. So we'll see how this goes. I do need to get under 75 for Melbourne Cup. So, and that's only 4 weeks out from, so I don't really know what my body weight will do in between Melbourne Cup and Big Dogs. But hopefully it'll be a much smoother sailing getting under 75 for this comp. Yeah.
So how do you normally structure your training? Like, how many days do you train? How do you split your days up? How do you go about your normal training?
At the moment, Luke's got me sitting on 5 days, which for me is really quite good in terms of my schedule. Yeah. I like to train Monday to Friday and have the weekend off simply because, like, with work, it's a bit like I just don't have time on Saturdays and kind of Sundays. If I do get the day off, I like to kind of just chill and just have my own time away from the gym. Yeah. So training kind of midday, early afternoon is quite optimal for me. Yeah. I've had a couple of meals, had a couple of coffees, and feeling pretty good. But 5 days generally. He has had me on a 6-day program before, but it's just quite hard with my schedule. Yeah.
So how do you go with recovery on 5 days or 6 days? Like, is there anything that you implement on a weekly basis to assist your recovery?
I'm really bad at that. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm really bad at that. I was last Pro Raw. If I have a competition kind of coming up, I do really try and make an effort to see a chiro. Every time Luke comes to Sydney from Adelaide, I do see him for treatment. So, he was just here in the last week. So he destroyed my hips and my glutes and all of that. So, but yeah, I'm not very good at the whole recovery thing.
What was I going to say? So with your trying to stay in your weight class, right? So you compete as an under 75. So normally you just said it's the first time you've done macro cycling and that sort of thing. Yeah. What were you doing in the past?
In the past, I was kind of comfortably sitting between 77 and 78. Yeah. So, cutting to 3 kilos is not really that hard, a bit of dehydration, a bit of, carb cutting, and you kind of make it. Yeah. And that never kind of really affected my strength in any way. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's like because I've been doing a lot of hypertrophy in the last year because I haven't competed, so I haven't had to cut any weight. I haven't had to diet in the last year. I'm not sure if, I don't get DEXA scans or anything like that, so I'm not sure what I'm doing in terms of muscle mass. Yeah. But I'm just sitting a little bit heavier this year than I have in the last couple of years, which, it's not a problem. Yeah. It just means that I have to actually diet, which I hate. Yeah. Because I really like food. But I just have to work a little bit harder on that aspect.
So when it comes time to diet, do you, how much does it change? What's your cutting routine? Do you just do water loading? Do you throw a little bit of cardio into your training? How do you normally go about it?
I kind of just have to get a little bit more specific with my meals and really kind of weighing everything because I get a bit lazy with that, as we all do. I tend to, I still eat pretty much the same things. I don't really eat bad food. Yeah. Sometimes I just eat too much of it, you know. Or I don't eat if I don't have time, which again is quite bad. Yeah. I do usually chuck in a little bit of cardio. Generally, at the moment, I'm doing cardio at least twice a week anyway, just because I actually enjoy it. Yeah. For me, it's just a bit of a stress relief. I just put my music in and I just go and I don't have to think about it. Yeah. No running. No, just cross trainer or sometimes bike intervals, which, for some people can find it quite boring. But for me, it's mindless.
So you just do it in the gym.
Yeah, I don't really like prowler or sprints or anything
Yeah.
like that, unless I have a buddy I'll push me. But I just like to jump on a piece of cardio equipment and just not think about it. So just get a bit of a sweat on and just go. So sometimes I'll up that. But I also have to kind of be smart in terms of what my training is like, how sore I am after my squat days, deadlift days and stuff like that, because obviously don't want to take away from those days. In terms of water loading, the last pro was the first time that I have water loaded. And that was hard. That's hard, man. If I have to do it again, if it comes down to that, I will. Because, if it's only a kilo or two that I have to lose, then, you might as well.
So is the cardio, say you're doing 2 days of cardio, is that on top of your 5 days of training?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll just jump on a cross train or something, after I finish my session, usually a bench day. Because I'm usually pretty tired after my lower body days. He's got me doing a split of 2 squat days, so 1 low bar day, 1 high bar day. I got a deadlift day, and I got 2 bench days as well at the moment. So
so obviously recently we've seen, and we had in our last episode we had Dakota and Joe on, and we spoke to them about this as well. But we've seen an insurgence in female lifters. So how much of that have you noticed? Like, what are your thoughts on that? What do you attribute that to?
It's been massive in the last few years. I remember the first comp, the Capo deadlift comp that I went to, it was me and 2 other girls competing, and everyone else was guys. So there's probably like 20 guys. So and then I think it was like 2015 GPC Nationals. It was like 88 females, and that was just like overwhelming. Like, I was still deadlifting at like 8:30 at night. I was so tired. But just the growth in the last few years has been huge, and I think it's really amazing that females can look at a sport that is mostly male dominated and not be afraid of it. And the girls that approach me now to do powerlifting, they do it because they want to be strong, and they don't care about what they look like, which for me I think is really really amazing, and it's very different from where I think we were a few years ago in terms of a lot of females coming to me because they want to look better, or they just want to get skinny, or whatever it is. So for girls, now wanting to get strong, and that's the cool thing, I think it's really, really awesome.
So obviously, like, the mainstream sort of media portrayal for women was always be thin and fit and active, that sort of thing. Why do you reckon so many women now are going towards strength sports? Because I suppose the media hasn't really changed that much. Like, there's a little bit more of an emphasis on performance now, but like, what would you attribute it to, do you reckon?
Well, I think, like, because I come from a hairdressing background, I used to do all the runway and the photo shoots and stuff, so I've seen that side of things, and I think that's why when I got into to doing fitness, I really wanted to be that skinny girl as well, because I was working with all of these thin models. But I think social media has a massive part to play in terms of changing people's perception on what is healthy. But it can go both ways as well, because a lot of what we see on social media is not true. There's a lot of Photoshop happening. There's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of quick fixes. And I think it's making people a little bit kind of wary when they're purchasing things, or when, they're looking into coaches and stuff like that. So, like everything, it has its pros and cons, but the fact that there's more women competing in strength sports, I think is a plus. More women feel empowered to do it rather than, just diet for their 5 seconds on stage, so.
No, it is, body image in general has really, it's improved, hasn't it all? Think back 10, 20, 30 years ago when it really was supermodels, whether it was a perfume ad or whether it was a billboard for Guess jeans or something like that. But they were pretty tiny, weren't they? It was the real. So I suppose people looking at that advertising and trying to aspire to that, as opposed to now where there is a better understanding of body image issues.
Definitely, I think it's positive because I'm never gonna look like that. I genetically, I'm never gonna be that skinny, tiny girl. I'm not built like that. So for me, it's great, and I think a lot of women are in the same boat as well. Their body's not made to be that tiny.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you recommend that girls get into it?
I would initially invest in a coach. For me, I've had a coach since day dot in the gym, even before powerlifting. And for me, that is just the best investment I have ever made. You know, obviously I've had a couple of coaches through the years because my goals have changed. But there's no way I would know as much as I do now without a coach.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, a coach is probably the number one thing. After that, I would say pick a comp.
Yeah.
You know, like I have had so many girls say, oh, you know, yeah, I want to do it, but, you know, I'm not ready, or I just want to be a bit stronger, or, you know, like you're never going to be ready. You know, like you're never going to be as strong as those girls that have been doing it for 5 years. But nothing can prepare you for what a comp day is like. You know, like I can give my girls everything so that they're ready, but they're never going to be ready, if you know what I mean. You know, like, you know, they're in a different atmosphere. There's people everywhere. The adrenaline's there. The nerves are there. You know, things can go wrong. I remember on my first comp, the bar was misloaded. Like, you know, like
things happen.
Things happen. You know, but you learn from that. You know, so I always tell my girls, just pick a comp. Just go for it, you know. Like, give yourself, you know, a bit of time depending on where you're at in terms of your experience with training. But pick a comp and just go for it.
What about gyms, like specialised gyms as opposed to training out of commercial locations, that sort of thing? Like joining teams with like-minded people, I suppose, is what I should kind of more target that at.
You know, just training at a specialised gym is definitely going to be better in terms of being more prepared for a competition. I understand that some people don't have access to that, and, you know, you just got to do the best you can. But I know for myself, you know, being able to have access to, you know, the bars that I need, you know, the Texas bars, having a mono lift, having a comp bench, like makes a massive difference to my training. During the time that we were building the gym, so early last year, I was prepping for Parole 8, and I would travel just to get, like, I would travel out to PTC, which is probably a 45-minute drive from me, just to use their Texas deadlift bar. And then I would go to this other gym over here just to use the bench, you know, like I had to do that during that time because we didn't have a gym at that time, so we didn't have the equipment, you know, it's all in storage. But, you know, I just knew for me to do well at that comp, I had to have the best equipment, and it makes a massive difference.
Well, it's like any sport, isn't it? It's preparing as best you can, utilising the equipment that you're going to have to compete in. So it'd be like a cricketer training with a different bat or a different weight or any other sport, wouldn't it? Like
that's exactly right.
You want to train the way that you're going to compete.
Especially something like a Texas deadlift bar, like, you know, comparing that to a stiff bar, different knurlings, it's a huge difference. Comp benches, obviously, the firmness of the bench, and there's a whole lot of factors.
The bars make, like, especially when it gets heavy, like the bars make a massive difference.
Huge difference.
The benches. Jump on those benches that are all soft and shit.
What about your music and stuff? Like, what sort of music do you train to? What motivates you in the gym?
It has to be really angry. I have a few different playlists, but when I kind of get up to my heavy stuff, when I'm squatting and my deadlifting, it's pretty heavy. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, what are you listening to? But for me, you know, psyching myself up involves getting really angry. You know, I can't just, I can't just, you know, internalize that focus. I kind of need to listen to music and just, you know, work myself up to a state of kind of really intense anger, and that's how I'm able to, you know, execute the lifts.
So one question we asked Joe and Dakota last time was, if you're in a situation where, say, third deadlift at a comp, which will suit you because deadlift's your thing, EMAD comes over, Pro Raw, for example, and says, what song do you want? You're pulling for a PR. What do you go? What's your choice?
It's my favourite question.
What's your PR song?
I love this question.
Well, EMAD would never play this because he would hate it, but it would have to be something by The Artist Murder.
Yeah.
Nice
choice.
Yeah. One of my favourite bands.
Specific song or just anything by them?
The album before, not their last album, the one before. I can't remember. Anything off that album.
That's some pretty heavy stuff. That's a good one. So just with, we spoke about obviously body image and that sort of thing. How do you go with public perception? So people outside of powerlifting or outside of gym community and stuff, how do people approach you? Like, how do they look at you differently if you tell them you're a powerlifter? What's the response you normally get?
I think it's very mixed. I think with my social media, I try and have a balance between, you know, kind of my lifting photos or videos and sort of just normal me or even, you know, photo shoot me. Because I want women to see that just because I lift as heavy as I do, that I'm not masculine. And, you know, you're not going to look masculine if you do decide to pursue powerlifting as a sport. I think even though we have come up in terms of education, you know, with the whole lifting weights is not going to make you a man, there is still a large portion of females that think that.
Of course.
And, you know, that's fine. But for me, education is really important, and I don't like to just train my female clients. I actually like to educate them in why they're doing something, and I think it's really important for women to know why they're doing something. You know, why they have the program they do have, or why they have the accessory lifts that they do have, and stuff like that, so they're not just mindlessly going through the exercises. They actually know why. So what was the question?
Public perception.
Public perception. I don't know.
Do guys get intimidated?
Guys do get intimidated, but I don't really care. You know, I'm not there to impress them. I'm not there to, you know, try and lift heavier than them. You know, I have my numbers that I have to hit. If I'm not training at squad, that is. You know, all the guys at squad know me, so it's not a big deal. But if I'm not training at squad, you know, I'm not training there for them. You know, I've got the numbers and the lifts that I've got to do based on my program. And, you know, I've usually just got my headphones in and I just do it. You know, if they're intimidated, then that says more about them than me. So
absolutely. Does it ever get awkward though? Like, I know you don't care, but have you ever had situations where guys have said anything or done anything weird? Like, it's always interesting because, like, as guys, obviously the reaction we get is going to be completely different from the reaction you get. So it's just one of those things that I take particular interest in.
I don't get these reactions.
I have had a couple of guys kind of come up and just say, you know, do you need a spot? And I'm like, no, it's cool. I'm just warming up, you know, like, and they're like, you know, like, just shut them down. Like, I don't mean to, you know, I mean, you know, if I'm not afraid to ask for a spot or something if I need it, but I don't really care what other people think, you know. For me, it's not about them.
So that's good. Ducks back for you. Know?
That's right.
Don't notice it because you don't care.
That's right.
So you've got Melbourne Cup later this year, and obviously you're here for Parole. You tend to travel to Melbourne a bit for your comps. Is there a specific reason? I can't speak right. Is there a specific reason for that?
All the good comps happen here.
Yeah. Obviously, Pro Raw is always going to be here, but what about the others? Like,
Melbourne, you know what? I think after competing at Pro Raw for the last couple of years and just seeing how well organised Marcos runs his comp, I think I just wanted to come down and experience that this year. As a lifter, I think reducing the amount of stress that you have on the day of the comp is really important. And if the competition is run smoothly, that's just, you know, massive bonus in terms of stress relief. You know, I think when you're lifting very heavy, it makes a difference. You know, like you want to know, like, if they're having a break in between squats and bench and like, you know, blah blah blah, like you have to just be warmed up, you know, for the perfect timing, and you know, to have a well-run comp is just it's really good.
One less thing for you to worry about.
Exactly.
So just with the competitions, have you considered going international to compete? Like, are there any international comps that you would like to do?
I haven't really looked into it, to be honest. Definitely sometime down the track, it would be something that I would want to do. I would need someone to wrap my knees, but definitely one day I might do it. I'm actually going over to Europe at the end of the year, so I might have a look at if there's anything happening over there. But I still got, you know, I feel like I've still got unfinished business here, you know. So I haven't achieved what I want to achieve yet in this sport. So.
And what is that?
I want to be the number 175 kilo all time. So I was number 2 and now I think I'm number 4. So got to get back to number 1.
So what do you think it's going to take to be number 1? Because obviously the sport's evolving.
Yeah, I mean the sport is evolving and growing so rapidly. You know, like it's just like that. You can just go down the list. You know, like I think it's probably going to take another couple of years of training.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have the training experience that a lot of the other girls have in my weight class. So for me, I think it's just going to take time. Yeah. For me, my bench is my weakest lift at the moment, and that's where I lose a lot of kilos that the other girls are quite strong at. So me and Luke have been really working hard on that. You know, he came down on Thursday and basically just pulled it apart and rebuilt it. So it's feeling a lot better. So hopefully, you know, I'll be able
Specific things that you're working on, like the issue there, technique-wise?
Yeah, just my setup, you know, my wrists under the bar and my elbows under the bar and, you know, not flaring and stuff like that. So, you know, now that he's moved to Adelaide, it's a lot harder to be able to correct those things just kind of via video.
Yeah.
So I really try and take advantage of him being here every time he is here.
Yeah.
But when you build up a bad habit, it's sometimes quite hard to break it if there's not someone in your face, you know, changing it and correcting it every week. So that's just something that, you know, I'm just going to have to try and work on continuously until Melbourne Cup, and then fingers crossed it'll be stronger.
Yeah. Did Luke handle your pro roll? Was he there?
Yes. Yeah. He flew in and flew out a day.
Yeah. So will he do the same for Melbourne Cup, do you think?
Hopefully. He has got a couple of things in the pipeline at the moment that I'm not allowed to talk about. But if he is still in Australia at that point, I will fly him over so he can wrap me.
Yeah, cool. So have you got anyone else that you get to handle you in those situations, or is Luke always just your go-to?
Luke is pretty much always my go-to. I have had other people wrap me for other comps, but I'm pretty specific on how I like to be wrapped, and it has to be fast.
Yes.
And yeah, he's just the best.
Yeah, cool. So who's your biggest competition in Australia?
I think there's a couple of girls, you know. I think, you know, it was always Annie. You know, it was always me and Annie. Every comp, it was always, you know, it would be her first or second or me first or second. Yeah. You know, and I know she's coming back at Nationals, so I'm really excited to see what she's going to total and where she's going to place after having a year off. Yeah. Kat is just so strong. Yeah. I feel like she, you know, I know she's been competing forever, but I feel like she kind of almost just came out of nowhere again. So I think she got 542 at Parole this year. So that's just a phenomenal effort. And
it's crazy.
You know, I'm never going to be able to squat 242 kilos, but you know, I can try. I'll try.
Just pull it instead.
Billa is also really strong. I think she came 5th after me at Pro Raw. Yeah. You know, if I didn't get my last deadlift, she would have beat me. Yeah. So she's also very, very strong. And of course, Jo as well. So
such good competition.
It is. It's very strong competition. Yeah. So you said before, obviously, long-term goal is you want to be the number one under 75. What else? Like, what else are your long-term goals? Have you got a specific total in mind? Have you got a specific deadlift in mind? Like, what would you like to do?
I definitely would like to a total of 550. Yeah. Just seems like a nice number. But I've always wanted to pull triple body weight at 75, so 225. So cool. Not that far off, but I was 78 when I pulled 220. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So in an ideal situation, how many times would you want to compete a year, and what comps would you like to do?
Probably at least 2.
Yeah.
So Pro Raw, 100%.
Yeah. So say Pro Raw and Melbourne Cup. Or...
Yeah, Pro Raw, Melbourne Cup. Maybe you know, if I have something on during Melbourne Cup, maybe push pull. Yeah. Or
if
even
the head-to-head thing with big dogs becomes a permanent fixture, would you do that every year, or would you rather do a full comp against? I mean, I know it's a 3-lift comp, the head-to-head, but would you rather do your full weight class, or would you go head-to-head with people?
I'd be happy to go head-to-head with people. I just, you know, it seems like a really fun situation, but, you know, I don't want to, you know, it's got to be other girls. Yeah. Got to be other girls that are going to verse each other. Yeah. So I'd like to sit back and watch it one year. But, I'm really excited for Parole Battles. Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
It is. It's different. Yeah, it's very different. So you're constantly travelling down here. How long till you just move to Melbourne? Let's be
realistic. I get asked this question all the time. No, I'm. You know, I love Melbourne. Yeah. I would move here in a heartbeat. But you know, squad gym. Yeah. You know, we're in that building for the next 7 years. Yeah. So and I've got 2 fur children. So they're keeping me busy.
Your dogs, actually. Are they chow chows?
Chow chows. Yeah, they're my kids. They're my kids. So, Yeah, I was on the phone to my mum in the car this morning, and there was just a black chow walking across the road, and all you can hear me go is, "Mum, is a chow!" Because you don't see them in Sydney. I get really excited. But no, they're keeping me. They're keeping me in Sydney, and I just moved house too, so I've just signed a lease for another year. So
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So you're there for a bit longer.
I'm there for a bit longer. But I just have to come down all the time.
That's
It's a good
right.
excuse to come to Melbourne.
Have you got advice to other lifters? At all levels, it doesn't matter whether they're new or experienced.
For the new lifters, like I said before, like just give it a go. Like, I didn't think when I started it would be something that I would, enjoy so much and, be so passionate about. But I think like a lot of women, it's quite easy to fall in love with powerlifting, you know. So I think just give it a go and get out there and don't be afraid, because trust me, the nerves don't go away. Doesn't matter how long you've been lifting for, the nerves never go away. So just get out there. For the experienced girls, I'll see you on the platform soon.
Is there anything that we've missed that you want to add in? We've pretty much got through the page and a half of questions that we had for you. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think
James?
that's
I
it.
was just to say, anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to troll?
Um,
Good at that.
I'm not a troll. I try not to cause any drama. No, just if you're ever in Sydney, come and check out Squad Gym and
cool.
please come and train. Say hi.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for doing this in your limited time that you were here.
And happy
all right.
birthday.
Yeah, happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
You're going to eat that donut.
I will.
Not on camera, but
I'm going to be sick during my deadlifts. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
Lyndall. Cheers.